Welcome everyone to the Free Arts Magazine. I'm your host Luyanda, and today we have Lindo Zwane. Lindo, tell us about yourself, background, and where you come from.
My name is Lindo Zwane. I'm a visual artist based in Johannesburg. I was born in KZN, Newcastle, but I grew up in the East End part of Johannesburg, in a small township called the Kingsway. It's just between Davidson and Springs. Um, yeah, yeah, that's me. And my work focuses on like feelings of nostalgia and the process of catharsis, which are kind of themes that I'm very, very drawn towards, and trying to understand how sometimes the nostalgic part of our past and the things that we feel nostalgic towards draw us so much into them, such that we end up being ultimately they become psychological barriers or blocks in some way, where you rather hope that you were young again, as opposed to growing up being a young Blake made in South Africa. So it's all those charms of childhood that I actually try to tackle with, and then try to bring them also in how everyday life kind of influences some choices that we make as individuals.
Okay,
Yes.
that's a
Yeah.
that's a nice portrayal. It means your art is really a deep in reflection. Can I ask that you share a bit of your journey and like where did it all start? Like where did it all start? You knew you could draw and you wanted to do this.
Uh, I could draw. I don't know. I'm still learning how to draw. I love drawing. I'm still learning, but I think for me there were a few like things that happened when I was in school that got me interested in drawing. But also it wasn't just because I want to draw, you know. I saw a few things that people were doing and I liked them, and I wanted to learn, and I wanted to teach them, and I wanted them to teach me how to do what they do. And like any other, teenagers, we always like holding on to things for ourselves and not share. So those guys were like, I'm not going to show you, and I just ended up just learning on my own and coming to show these guys, okay, actually, I can actually do this. And then I think, but it also was never a thing up until 2013, where I met a guy in Davidson called Galaxy. So Galaxy made him a Ruhla Jwayo in an afternoon. And I was like, I love what you do. And then he was like, yeah, sure, I can teach you what I do.
Hmm.
And I was like, well, you can come the following day. And then, yeah. And then we started like that. That's how I got into the whole drawing thing. And then I spent like a few months with the Galaxy, around 6 months, I think. And then after those 6 months, it was like, I think you're good at this. And then there's a place called Artist Studio. You can go to that place. That's where I also learned how to do this. So I think you should apply with the work that we've been doing. I was like, oh, okay. Then we went there, applied, got in, studied there for 3 years, printmaking, and then yeah, after 3 years they were like, we think that you might be. And I said to the space, to the community, would you like to do teaching or assistant teaching? I was like, yeah, sure. And I did that for what, 3 years, and yeah, and then after that it's always been. But I've always had a career going on up until I decided to just like I want to have my own studio
Hmm.
space and really focus on just being an artist. And yeah, that is nice. Nice.
Nah, that's nice to hear, man. Then how has your style grown over time from when you started versus now?
Uh, so so the nice thing about the course that I did at APS, it's like over the process of 3 years, you get to kind of come up with the thing called an artist statement, like what your work actually is about, or yeah, your voice actually within the whole entire industry. What would you like your work to look like? And I started looking back into how I love nostalgic works, and I love all the um, I think all the biopics that people show up, and like real life stories that people tell. I love storytelling, and I was like, I'm interested in those things, and maybe I should focus on myself and my childhood going forward. And then in the beginning, how the work started was just focusing on how when I was moving between Johannesburg and coming back home to school and coming back home, I would see kids playing, and some of those images and some of those memories would trigger certain things from my own childhood, and I would start seeing things that happened to me, and then that's how the work actually started in the beginning, and then from there on, the work grew when I left home and went to Joburg, and the work kind of differently because suddenly I was looking at life being like a young man now being in the city of Joburg, being busy with certain things and seeing life in a very different way because I was no longer in the township and seeing all those things and the whole thing. Yeah. So that kind of developed where I started looking at myself, sort of like being reflective of who I am, what I'm trying to do, and also in reflect to how my peers also around me and everyone that I met, I think around at the time, everyone was just talking about how hard life is, you know, and I started what makes it hard, what makes life so intense, you know, and I started looking at those. Suddenly, the work started getting, I think, darker. So some people phrase it like that, where just suddenly it's heavy charcoal, where you look at it and you're like, yeah. It's no longer those happy kids, those happy childhood memories where you would run free on the streets because you escaping something else, whether you don't want to go back home, and that's why you're happy on the streets, and then they're always calling you, come back, it's late, you know, all those things, because you're seeing all these possibilities. And when you grow up, suddenly things are real. You know, you see it by yourself, start thinking, just says, how did I get here? So it's all those things. Suddenly the work kind of took that development, but it's between the two ideas of nostalgia and the cathartic part, you know, of the work. So now I think it's more of the cathartic part in releasing certain whether it's like emotions or certain ideas about what is it that makes you release these tensions or this anger that you might have towards whatever incident or your life story that happened to you. And then that's how I started putting in things like pillows in the work, where you'd have someone burying themselves within the thing, a pillow, because I mean, some guys don't even know how to cry in public. So maybe sometimes you get home and you just like get in your pillow and you cry. And then now my thing is like the contrast of you squeezing this one thing that doesn't have life at all to give you just more life and more chance to keep going on. Because after crying in that pillow, you have more strength to like, okay, cool stuff. Let's take it again. That was a fucked up day. After whether you've screamed or after you've cried. So it's all suddenly these things of how do we keep going? You know, these psychological barriers that we all face. I mean, yeah. So I'm just tapping into all those things and then trying to also weave it all together with how the past kind of suddenly kind of influence this certain blockage that is coming up, that the things that happened. It's not that you are some of nothing, you are some of everything that happened to you, and you're in that particular phase in your life or that stage in your life because of all those things.
Would you say your work is about reflection or reflecting on our life experience?
Yeah.
All right, fair.
So it is a whole entire dive in a human experience in that as as I can be, and doing it visually. Also, just using I think emotions mostly in the work, and just like simple gestures, you know, not going too deep or too abstract about a certain piece. Like that thing I'm trying to explain now, the pillow thing, where everyone is hiding a pillow every once in a while. Everyone has screamed at the pillow, everyone has grabbed the pillow at some point in their life. And it's a simple act that everyone goes through, where I'm not trying to be smart about what I'm trying to say or trying to act where people suddenly don't understand. You know, you're looking at a piece and you're like, what's going on in that piece? You know? So because also that's the thing about art. Art has done that thing for a very long time, where it's easy for I mean our parents to look at art and say, "Oh, those are cartoons," mainly because they don't get. Suddenly, when you start drawing them in those moments where they see themselves and look at themselves long enough to see that actually, yes, as I was going through a lot, I think that time, when you're taking art back as a way of life, as and you include everyone, you know, and in whatever language that you're using, everyone can look at themselves and be like, as how someone would look at themselves in a family album or a family photo. That's how you track, like, 2017, you know. But no, it's all that whole entire holistic human experience that I'm just trying to capture in the works.
I get that. And it is a holistic experience. Life is not just one good day and one bad day. It's everything combined to make it a rich tapestry of experience.
For sure. For sure.
Can I ask about your influences? Which artists have you looked up to and have influenced your work?
Yeah. Artist. I don't know. So there's this thing that in the work, I don't know, it grew just over time, where the work I kind of look at abstract work in all the composition that I have, and try to, composition wise, the work will kind of take those things in terms of like balancing the composition. I look at mostly just abstract work, and most of the time I don't even know those guys. It's like abstract artists I would I think bump into on socials, or I would see like a very nice thing, and I start following the person and see how the process is, how they do what they do, and I got interested in that. And names sometimes they know it, but William Kendrick would be one of the South African artists that I really admire, in terms of how they take something so simple as a teapot or a flask or something, and make it to be this grand object, or this grand artwork, in terms of it's like almost taking teapot, as last song, food, and making it this amazing thing. This is big, but also it's about the culture of eatery food, and who actually connects with eatery food, and who remembers whatever that's happening around it. And someone was like, yes, timing shot, hey, Malin's and eatery food. And it's all those, suddenly all those memories that bring us together collectively, and how he does that thing with most of the objects that he takes. For me, it's quite really I admire him for that. And how he moves within the art industry, how one element or object or an idea can move from a charcoal drawing to a video installation to a sculpture to a whole entire performance. It's just like, it's a very I think the whole entire art experience, if I can put it, a very full on art experience. And yeah, I think that has been great. And there's other guys that I do look at that. I think I love everyone that does something to the best of their abilities. So there's people that do charcoal, and then they don't consider the medium. They just do charcoal for the sake of doing charcoal. So there's people that use charcoal in a very beautiful way for what it is, for it being a burnt wood and aftermath, or something that happened before, and someone treating it in a very beautiful way, or whether you're doing acrylics and treating them in a very beautiful way, understanding the medium. Always like appreciate people that do that, as opposed to people that say, I can put in splash on the thing and say this is it. You know, it's fine, nothing wrong with it. But for me, I really follow people that put effort in what they do. People that don't rush stuff. People that really consider what they're trying to say, the story they're trying to say, and consider the people that are going to receive the story they're trying to say. So yeah.
That's fair, man. Now, each artwork has to carry a message that's relevant to, I guess, the experience of the artwork, to me as a viewer, you as an artist making it, and as well as what it triggers in us, nah?
But for sure. But sometimes it doesn't have to be. I mean.
Yeah, fair. It can just be a nice picture.
But yeah, but I appreciate people that put effort.
I can.
Just I'm labor, you know, because I mean, in a also in a world where everything is just very fast and done very quickly, and everything's just like mass production. It's nice to have a few people that are still like, I love tradition. People that hold the way tradition in a big format. It's like tradition is good, tradition is right. I'm for those people, but not the let's move on, do it for 6 months.
Hey, we live in a fast-paced world, man. It's hard to stay motivated.
Yeah,
What
very,
motivates
very
you as an artist now? Like, what gets you up in the morning and says, I want to do this?
I think for me, it's It's everyone, man. Everyone that wakes up. No matter some people who text me early. I don't like waking up early in the morning. So I'm not those people, those 5 a.m. clubs and stuff. But I know people that do all those things. But I think it's the idea of I think people trying, and I think the working class, the people that wake up in the morning and back to my days, go to work, no, 5 or 4, whatever, just to provide for the families, and mainly because I've seen it throughout all my life. Uma wakes up every morning and go to work. Every morning during the week goes to work and never rests because almost even Saturday she wakes up early and gets things done. So I think seeing those people for me, it's motivation. People that get up and go and do it. Ordinary people that are just, their little corners are making a big difference to their families, making a big difference to whoever is part of their lives, and just for them also to feel this sense of self-worth and importance. So yeah, seeing people like that gets me up, and that's why sometimes I like capturing those people and telling that side of the story as opposed to talking about a very grand story.
It's nice to hear.
Nice and
That's
be
nice to
chilling
hear.
with black. So, yeah, so it's good.
Hey,
Good. So those,
huh? Are you saying?
I'm saying those are the people for me,
Nice.
that gets me up. Yeah.
That's fair, man. Art can sometimes be this overly abstract experience that only few people get, but we need people to just bring it back down to earth. Show us that it's not just about
Yeah. It's not just about colors and shapes.
Yeah, man, it's also about people, and that's nice to hear. I hope people, when they have a chance to see your art and they can experience that personal
Yeah.
relationship. Is there anything
Yeah.
you'd like to? There's our final remarks. What would you give? What advice would you give someone who's young and trying to get into this game?
I never get in. Never get in.
Real.
Yeah. Never get it. No, but I think just be sure that you're in it for all of it. All the whole entire roller coaster ride. You know, um, I think the career side of it, it's tricky. So I think get it for the right reasons. I think I'd say get in it for reasons. In anything in life, but just get in it for the right reasons, and because then you find comfort in knowing whether things work out or don't work out. You find comfort in knowing that you tried. You were authentic when you tried. It wasn't something that was just like baseless or was a floating thing. Because it's life. And every day and every year and everything counts. So you can't be saying we're just gonna try for 6 months. Let's see what happens. Or my friend can do it, and then let me do it. But yeah, if you're doing it, just do it. And with anything, not even art, but we do need artists that are honest on canvas and artists that are not driven by the idea of buying nice cars and living a nice life somewhere for 5 years, and then we cars, and then so manje. And your artwork is for millions of rands there somewhere in Europe, and then you didn't have a strong base, and now you're crying. So it's not nice. Not nice. And now you're blaming people. Now, like if I didn't have those people then, and then if those people are not influencing me, it'd be fine. And so it's not even an advice per se, but just understand what you're trying to do. Just also, I think there's less regret in things that you do wholeheartedly. So
That is
for me,
true.
that would be it. Because you wouldn't blame anyone for influencing you.
That's true. Hey, you just have to take responsibility for yourself, man. Everything you do is on you.
Yeah, and because now that's how it is, more than ever. More than ever, it's like the most important time where everyone is just responsible, and take responsibility. Where you flopped, you flopped, so that when you crying there in the corner and no one is there for you, just know that you do to yourself, and the only thing you can do is just be resilient and pick yourself up and keep moving.
Strong words, man. Strong words.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time. This has been insightful. A lot of wisdom, a lot of like an opportunity to reflect on our lived experiences. And I like your work. From what I've seen, it is there, it is deep, it touches to the soul and speaks to real stories, not just these abstract ideas that only exist in the small communities that can afford it.
Yeah. All
right, man. Thank you for your time. This is Free Arts Magazine signing out. Bye, guys.
right. Okay.